I'm Tom Gandley, and you've listened to the Dispatch and Freedom's Herald with me for a couple of years now. I'm undertaking a new show called Loving the Working Girl. It's something I have to say that I'm not 100% comfortable with, and it takes a little getting used to because some of the stories that you might hear are kind of graphic. My guest today is named Talia. She's from Salt Lake City, 21 years old, and we'll be asking her some questions about what has brought her to this point in her life. Some of them are hard to listen to, but you're guaranteed to have a lot of insight into what has made her what she is right now and her movement towards more stability in her life. Talia, thank you for being with us. Appreciate you coming in here. And tell us a little bit about yourself and what your childhood was like and, you know, what began things for you in this arena.
Probably my childhood was very traumatizing. I got into drugs at the age of 12.
Wow.
Yeah, and then at the age of 14, sorry. At the age of 14, I got into some more drugs, and at the time, it wasn't very pleasant. It was an unhappy situation. My mom also did drugs with me, so that was kind of hard to not quit. Okay. It was just in the house. So I grew up in a non-typical household, I guess.
Okay. And your dad, did he have any influence in your life at all, or?
I did not. I did not know who my dad was. My birth mom, she was messing around a lot. I have 4 other siblings, and we don't know. We all have different dads, pretty much, except the twins, which is the 2. I did a DNA test on the person we thought my dad was. It was only 1% positive, and the other person we thought went to prison.
Okay. So you couldn't do a DNA test on him,
no.
Obviously. So, okay. Wow. That's an awful lot. And you said your mother and you were actually involved in substance abuse together, like buddies or something like that. Is that what the...
Yes. So at first it wasn't. It was more of like, I don't even know how it was at first. I was just told my mom did it, so it would be okay if I tried it. Then I did, and it didn't really plan out of quitting.
Okay.
So it was hard.
Okay. At what point, if it's a fair question, at what point do you think you kind of realized this was wrong? You tried to get yourself out of this situation. Was there one particular event, or had you been thinking about it for a long time?
It'd probably have to be February in 2016.
Okay.
Someone called the cops, and they told them that we were making meth in the house.
Okay.
And so they came to the house, and they pulled me aside to talk to me, thinking I knew anything about it. And I was thinking they were there for a rape. And they weren't. So they had other things to investigate. But if it wasn't for that incident right there, I probably would have went with my plan of getting out, and that would have probably been attempting suicide, which would have sucked now if I did it, but I'm very thankful I didn't. So.
Right. Well, we all are. It got actually that bad. Would you say that was like rock bottom for you? How old did you say you were? 15 at that time?
I was, 15, just about. Well, 15, almost 16.
Okay.
And then I went into foster care, which was very terrifying for me. From the stories my mom told me, she said that she was raped in foster care and everything. So it was terrifying for me to go into foster care.
Okay. These foster care folks that took care of you, were they decent people at least? I mean,
they were amazing. I miss them so much. I don't have contact with them anymore. They kind of disowned me a year ago, so it's been hard, but it's okay.
Okay. That's an awful lot for a youngster, and I mean, I'm pretty obviously older than you. For a youngster to have to deal with, and I've had stressful things in my life too. Nothing on the order of what you're explaining to us right now. Um, do you deal with like a delayed stress or a PTSD, let's say? Okay.
I do.
Because I mean, I had an episode in my life too where I'm still struggling with it, but not horribly compared to say 20 years ago. Okay, I've managed to move on from that. What about you?
It's been very hard right now. But when I was in foster care, even where they took me to the Christmas box house, and even there I would have them because of yelling, and it's a hit or miss. It just depends on the day. Some days I'll have it 5 times a day, 2 times. Sometimes I won't have it for a week. Those are the good weeks.
Okay, yeah. When you say you have it, is this like panic attacks?
Yeah, panic attacks, PTSD. I normally now have spurts of moments to where I have like an outburst, you can say, which is, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a grown-up tantrum, but it's not.
Okay, that's I'll try to understand that. I guess. And you said you were actually at the Christmas box house. You said you were there for just one day, though, if I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I was actually just there for not even a day. I was there at like 10 one night, went to bed, talked with my caseworker, and then from there she said that I had a family coming to pick me up, which was my foster family.
Wow.
That I've had ever since I was all the way until 2000 and I don't know, 18 I think. No, 2019.
Okay.
So.
So were you one of the lucky ones? I mean, were there other individuals in the Christmas box house that have been there for lengthy periods of time?
Oh yeah,
or,
there was people that's been there for a week or more or a month, and I kind of felt bad.
Yeah.
Pretty much felt like I jumped the line of having to wait, which I kind of did feel bad about taking.
You could feel bad, or you could feel lucky on the other hand.
Lucky and bad,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, it's lucky, but I was just complaining a lot. But I did feel bad to have to go when someone else could have had the spot that's been there way longer than I have, when I could have suffered through it than they have. So.
All right. Well, things did work out for you. Well, it's Christmas box house is a great one stop when you're in that type of a transition, whether whatever age
I still
you're.
have my stuffed animal, actually.
Great. Hold on to it. That's I guess a great memento. Moving forward, I mean, foster care. You moved into foster care. How was that? You already said they were decent folks. They were great.
They were wonderful. My foster mom, she got me out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
Like no other. She got me to do pageants, and I'd done 2 of them down there in Tooele. And the first one, I didn't really win anything, and I was kind of upset. But at the same time, I was like, it's no big deal. Who wants a crown?
Yeah.
Every girl wants a crown. I wanted one. And
you can get one at Burger King. I mean,
yeah, I used to always just go get the crowns at Burger King. And then I was persuaded to do Miss Tooele County, and I did that, and then that's when I won Miss Congeniality. And I literally done every activity that I could with the crown on, and I went out and I represented. Like, no matter what, I was trying to wear that crown in my sash, because I felt proud. And I did lose some things, which is very hard, but because of that moments, and to have my foster family, well, my mom especially, push me towards that direction, was probably the most wonderful, eye-opening thing for me. And I'm trying to get back to that, but it's hard.
Yeah, right. And actually, so you were with them for a few years,
Yeah.
at least. I mean, you hear stories about some of these foster kids that they're like in a new home every 2 or 3 months, or even more than that sometimes, for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the people that adopt them, so to speak, get tired of them, or maybe they just get in trouble with the law, something like that. So foster care seemed to have worked out pretty well for you. I mean, in fact, better than the average story I've heard. My late wife and I decided that maybe that's one thing we should do, but then she passed away. Um, anyway, yeah, what about, I mean, relationships with men themselves? You ever been married before?
I have. I'm actually now, not recently, but now, going through a divorce. Don't have a court hearing yet, so it's been kind of panicking, but it takes time. 6 months at the minimum, people's been saying. So I'm waiting for that 6 months to end, which is coming up hopefully soon. But we didn't end on good terms, more or less. I have a protection order on him. He's broken it twice. I have court for that coming up.
Okay.
So I have a lot of stress and a lot on my plate.
Would you? Okay, and you know, like, you're not alone. You know, a lot of people wind up in the same thing. Bad relationships, substance abuse at a young age, and a very young age. You feel like you've worked your way out of that, though, in your own way.
Kind of.
Okay, and I'm not saying, yeah, it's all behind me, that type of thing, but I'm more like, it's a process, and there's always that chance that there's a relapse. Do you feel like you're strong enough to fight those relapses?
No, I don't think I am. But so far I have. So it's been difficult. It's been hard, but it's just something I just breathe in and just breathe out, and I just let it go, kind of, pretty much for that time being, until it wants to reoccur again.
Okay. How would you fight it? How would you be able to? Could you? I guess is a good answer. A good question.
Normally I can't. It's hard, but when I do, I just try to be in my own world. That's pretty much how I get through my day sometimes. I just black out and just go through the day as is.
Okay. You just focus yourself on the fundamentals then and
Yeah.
get through. Okay.
I try to take it minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day.
Okay.
So.
All right. And this is a tough question for me to ask personally too. So, and if you have a problem providing myself and the audience with an answer for this, it's not the easiest question to answer. Do you have a broad hatred for men, would you say? I mean, because of what's happened to you?
I did at first. It took me a long time, a few years, to actually get the nerve to be comfortable around guys. Like this situation right now, I'd be panicking, but I've slowly been able to not do that panic anymore. The only problem I have now is guy doctors. I can't do guy doctors. I have no idea why. I can't do guy hospital people. It's weird for me, more or less. So.
All right. So, like, you know, the OBGYN, you can't handle it.
Like any guys in hospital field or even officers, it's hard. It's definitely hard for the officers, but I'm slowly coping with it. I've worked on it a lot, so I'm hoping sooner or later, someday, I will be comfortable around all men and guys.
Okay. Yeah, and you seem like you're dealing with a very mature way, a very focused way, a very clear way. And, you know, we have our things we're uncomfortable with. Like, for you, it's male medical staff, which I had never heard that before. But I'm like, okay, well, that's yours. But it doesn't sound like it's really what I would consider a hatred of men. You know, it's more like a trust issue.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. All right. Talia, it's a scary life you may find yourself in from time to time. Do you agree with that? Has there ever been a situation where you were frightened, like, by somebody you were with?
Just my ex-husband. It takes a lot for someone to frighten me. But I do get a lot of PTSD attacks. But besides that, I'm just my husband.
So-
I'd be afraid of.
Because I mean, okay, but I mean, like some other guys, some
No.
no, like okay, because you no doubt that it can be frightening. It's a very tough life. So it was there. So that you said there was never a dangerous situation you found yourself in. But how would you when you interact with a guy? Is there ever a time that I mean, what's do you have like an MO or something like that you follow? Like, you know?
I normally wait until I see what they truly are before I make my final decision, I guess you can say.
Okay.
If I want to have you kept in my life to be a friend or whatever. But it's mainly after I normally tell my story, I share them, my experience, and from there it's just a whole new version of them that I've never seen before, and normally that's when I see their true colors. And so from there, that's kind of when I make my decision, more or less. Normally, lately, it hasn't been good. People I've hung out with lately, so have been dropping a lot of people again. But it's hard. So.
Okay. When you were at that low point in your life, did you engage in self-destructive behavior?
I did. A lot, actually. Within the past year, actually, I've done more self-injured than anything that I've ever done, which is sad to say. It's finally got to the point to where I can't physically cut my arm, cut myself, or slit my wrist, because that doesn't help my pain anymore because I've done it so much. I have to go to choking, like hanging myself. And it got to the point one time where I tried to attempt, and something in my head just clicked, was like, don't do this. And
Yeah.
I cut the rope, and for about 2 weeks, maybe actually a month, I had a mark, and then I had a scar for a while. I had to cover up with makeup, and it was weird going to work with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was just really weird greeting customers like, hi, and then they just see that, and it was like, hi, yeah. So but I think that would probably have been my last-ish attempt.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I mean, that
I've-
sounds terrible, and it's
I've-
not uncommon. I mean, a lot of people do try that, and you were smart enough and strong enough to back away from it. Maybe there's an element of luck in there too, that you were able to think. Well, Talia, that's a hard thing to hear. That's I think that that's something that gets a lot of people's ears up, and they're like, wow, how one thing leads to another, from just little things to bigger things and bigger, to the point where you question your own existence and whether it's worth moving on with. Anyway, your life has been a rough life. You have dealt with things that people go 80 years in their lives and never have to deal with. And in my opinion, I think you've managed it very, very, very well. But nevertheless, I mean, you're not out of the woods by any means. What advice, if any, could you give a young girl or a young boy who want to avoid going down this path that you've found yourself, maybe not even completely of your own will? Is there a way that they could avoid some of the pitfalls maybe you found yourself in that have led you to this point?
Stay in school would be my biggest thing. I would let a younger generation know anyway, to stay in school and listen to them when they have those what are they? Those meetings, auditorium things. I don't even assemblies. That's the word. I couldn't think of it. I'm so sorry.
Okay, like the same other
like
drugs
when they have
things.
the assemblies for drugs and things like that. Like, really pay attention to those, because those do help out. Like, don't do drugs because you're being peer pressured. Like, that's how I started doing meth and heroin, and it was hard. It was hard, and just stay away from drugs in general.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
No, that's okay.
for the adults. I mean, if you have kids or anything, and you notice,
Okay.
start just kind of paying attention. Like, don't drill them about things. Like, we're kids. We want to go home and relax after school. So
Yeah.
don't drill us, please. But I mean, every parent's different. Just try to reach out and comfort your kids, because if they're doing drugs and then there's something wrong, probably most likely going with them at school or even in the household. And those are big things that parents should really look out for, and especially if their kids are trying to reach out to them, like, listen, even though it may be some stupid thing again or some lie or something, just listen to them. Like, that's all kids want.
Okay.
So
I mean, there are usually telltale signs of something. What
You
is
just-
one that, from your frame of reference, what would be a
for
good one?
my telltale sign anyway, weight loss, a big one.
Okay.
On meth, I lost so much weight. I weighed 85 pounds at the age of 14, and so I was anorexic pretty much. So I still have that on my record, and it concerns me. It worries me. But weight loss, sleep, like if you notice your kid or even people are up all the time, or they start hearing voices, they're going like, I don't know. My mom, she does it to this day, and she thinks that I talk about her behind her back when I'm at her house helping her. So it will ruin families as well. So if there's problems going on with the kid at their school, most likely that would definitely be a red flag that something's normally going on at home.
Okay. And that's for parents. I mean, if you're a youngster, okay, and I remember what it was like being 15. There are some things that you can talk to your parents about, usually things that are harmless, like sports with my dad or something like that. But if you are a young man or a young woman and you have gotten yourself into a situation involving drugs or sex at a young age, are there resources out there that can help you and maintain some kind of an anonymity, or at least a little quietness, from not having to tell your folks? Unless, of course, I mean, there's something really, really serious going on, then I think they should know. But
I mean, I always say tell your parents, especially if you're not an adult. It's just a nice thing to do. But what I would recommend anyway for school students, they have this Safe UT app. Yep, that's what it's called. And it's just an app where you can go on it, and it's pretty easy, pretty simple to set up. And you can go on there and you can report, or even just talk to someone there, like about if you're wanting to kill yourself or attempt suicide or whatever, or just having troubles, or even you think your friend's attempting, then you can go and you can reach out to them, and depending if you want or not, they can reach out to your school, but they won't bring up your name. It'll be anonymous. Yeah.
anonymous, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I can't say that word, but I did it.
Mhm.
And then there's also hotlines. They have rape victim resource hotline. They have a 24/7 mental health resource hotline, and I've called them a few times, and I've loved it. Like, they've helped me calm down from having a panic attack, wanting to kill someone, all the way to like, okay, I can breathe, thank you. Like, and if it's bad enough, they'll ask, like, they normally ask if you need to call 911 if you're safe, or if you're not, or if you feel safe. Like, they really make sure that you're not gonna attempt suicide.
And these things can be linked to through the Safe Utah app. These different.
No. So
No.
not these numbers. I'm pretty sure you can find resource numbers on the app. It's been forever since I've been on it, but I'm pretty sure they would have resources that you could find on the app. If not, just type in your plain Google search resources for rape victims or hotlines, or suicide hotline is a good one. I know people know about.
Yeah. And in the military, I mean, suicide's a big problem. I know that there's a
Yeah.
lot of them out there. The thing is getting somebody to get the courage up to actually call is another thing.
Or even they're like a therapist building, Valley Behavioral. You can go to any one of those and just go in, and they're willing to help you, more than willing to help you, I'm pretty sure. They also have homeless shelters you can call and reach out to if you need a home. They especially have one for the youths, which is pretty nice. I've gone in it. It's pretty nice, clean, tidy. They look like they have their things together, like they know what they're doing, and they're on top of everything. And it's for people, I don't even know the youth start anyway, but they go up all the way to 22, and from there you can get like meals, laundry done, shelter, resources. Like you can get a lot of stuff from them. They'll help you get on a housing, anything. Well, if you're old enough, they'll help you get on housing. Like they're
like federally subsidized housing.
Yeah, like help you fill out applications. Like they'll help you to as much as they can. Like if it's the same as like the adult homeless shelters, they'll give you a caseworker that you will work with, that you can contact if you need help with anything. And it's a nice little thing to help people get up off their feet.
Get up on their feet. Yeah.
Or up, on their feet, I guess.
Okay. This has been Loving the Working Girl. The purpose of this podcast has been to provide a reflection of what life can hand young ladies that forces them into a less savory, even destructive existence. If you are any age, man or woman, and find yourself in need of help with substance abuse, mental health, and self-destructive behavior, do not hesitate to reach out. Don't be afraid or embarrassed. If you're young and live locally in Utah, the Homeless Youth Resource Center at 801-364-8744 can provide you with the fundamentals of bathing, a place to sleep, and meals. The Safe Utah app, which is a list of many resources available. There is also the Youth Crisis Line, which is open 24/7 for you at 801-587-3000, extension 988. Thank you for listening.